Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are back in the Prism Palace for Game 6 after an absolutely electric Game 5 that went to overtime off of last second heroics from Lowenthal. But here tonight, the Voodoo have a second opportunity to finish out this series, whereas the Spectrums are looking to tie this series up 3-3 and send it back to Biloxi for Game 7. It's a full booth once again tonight. I have Donovan Ritter and Christopher Whalen back in the booth. How are you two doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited to see how this goes tonight.
Oh my God. I am just I can't if I couldn't use words last game as to how excited I was for game 5, I'm transcending all language for game 6. I yeah, I'm fantastic and I know that we're going to have a great game today.
And I believe, Christopher, you are the only one in the booth that still believes the Spectrums are going to close out this series in 7, winning 3 games in a row to come back.
That's right.
Ah,
Is that right, Ryan? You were sounding
I
very
was.
close to changing your tune last after the last game.
Look, I've watched the tape. That game was, I want to say, a mess. The amount of offense back and forth at times, but then the constant droughts. It's a coin flip either way for this game, and because of that, I have to lead still to the Voodoo because they have 2 more opportunities. 3 out of 4 times, if you flip a coin, you're going to get heads once. That's all they need is that one heads in these 2 games. Whereas the Spectrums, they do have to have things fall their way. And, I thought they had that game closed out. They were up by 8 with 90 seconds left last game. And the fact that it went to overtime is both a worrying sign, but also comforting that they were able to reset and actually finish out the game in overtime. The Voodoo, though, no matter how far down, I just don't think I can count them out. Whereas the Spectrums, they've come back from deficits, but they just have not had a dominating game yet.
Yes, but I think honestly, like this is their game. This is gonna be where they shine. I know I was flagging a little bit for just a very moment about like them winning in 7, but I do have faith that they can do it. And especially like you say that it was so close, and that's a sign that the Voodoo will have it tonight. I think for me that's a sign that Santa Ana um, can pull ahead, because not only were they up ahead until that very last, like very lucky shot in a way, to tie things up, but then they came back and beat the Voodoo again 5 minutes later. So in my mind, they've proven that they can fight when they're away, and now that they're at home, they're definitely going to cinch the tiebreaker round.
And see, I have a similar thought just in the other direction that Biloxi, having pulled off what was just a miracle to even get themselves into overtime, is going to have so much they feel like they need to prove that this is going to be their night.
Yeah, but you only get one miracle. I mean, they wasted it on game 5. You can't have a miracle on game 5 and then have another miracle on game 6. That's just not how sports works, right?
But what if last game wasn't actually the miracle? That was just the pre-miracle. You know what you do before the miracle? You pre-game.
So you're saying that like so games 1 through 4 were leading up to the pre-miracle that is leading up to the miraculous win that the Voodoo are going to somehow pull out of their ills here in Santa Ana after playing over 100 games in the season, with all of the Spectrum fans around them.
Yes, they're going to come back from 40 points down and absolutely hit a buzzer beater to win this game. That's my new steak dinner bet. Now that I've lost on Malone free throws in game 5 to win it.
You can't have new bets the same way you can't have new miracles. It doesn't work that way.
Have you not been to Vegas? You can bet after every game. But
Okay, that's
No,
fair.
but I do think they have a lot to prove, and I do think the other thing is we know they can win here. They've demonstrated that. this series not that long ago. So
No, and
Well, that logic, we know that Santa Ana can win here too.
that's true. They did manage to win one. It's just it, the first quarter is going to be very telling what their mentality is. You can argue that Santa Ana should be riding very high and have the momentum coming into this game. However, how are the Voodoo going to enter this game? Are they going to be down on themselves and upset that they lost the game? And is that going to cause unnecessary mistakes? Or are they going to come into this game hungry and looking for every opportunity to pounce and get some payback after losing that game at home? Santa Ana stole an opportunity for them to win in front of their home crowd, and honestly, the Voodoo are not going to just sit here and take that lying down. They're going to try and absolutely destroy this team tonight. Even though I'm sure they'd love to win in front of their crowd, they are not going to let this go 7 if they can help it.
and I don't think they will. I'm sticking with that they win tonight. Series ends tonight.
I have faith in my Spectrums, but only time will tell.
And I still say they actually won in Game 5, and we're just living in an alternate reality.
I've already bought you that steak dinner in your mind.
Yes. Well, any last thoughts before we send it down to the court?
Nope, I think I've said my piece.
I really want to see both teams step it up here. We've seen kind of like from both teams, we've sort of seen this rotation of starters like really kind of dominate the court per different game. I'd love to see both teams really just go full on full starters, everyone playing at their peak, because it really is a do or die moment now for both teams. I know I said that for Game 5, but it's even more true for Game 6, and there's hardly anything left. You got to put it all out on the court at this point.
And we will see the players getting to the court now. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say beyond the idea of them giving their all, you've got to imagine that they're all exhausted.
No doubt. I mean, they at least have it's not like the first 4 games in this series where they play back-to-back home games. They do have a little bit extra time traveling between the two, but you're right. Fatigue starts to add up as Santa Ana gets the first strike in this game. Lee laying it up and in. Any players, Christopher, you're keeping an eye on? I know you said you have all of them. As we see Seba off the steal from Aditya, dunking it down. He was a player last game that really stepped up. But is there someone in particular you have your eye on this game on Santa Ana?
I keep going back to Kiara Hughes, so I'm not actually going to mention her this time. Hopefully that'll help her find her rhythm. I'm actually going to be looking at Benjamin Aquino here. We've seen him step up for Santa Ana in the previous games. I want to see if he can continue to show that he is, a franchise player that they can rely on more steadily next year.
And how about you, Donovan? Anyone from the Voodoo you're keeping your eye on tonight?
I don't know that I'm looking at anybody in particular. I think mostly I'm just watching, like we had talked about during Game 5 quite a bit, is how are they going to stretch the game out to the 3-point line? Because that's when things...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's really when a lot of the momentum changed in the last game. And I think that they're going to need that desperately here in Santa Ana.
Yeah, I was going to say last game, the Voodoo definitely picked it up from beyond the arc. We saw Lowenthal get us started with 2 threes from the right sideline, and then we saw it switch over to Kim and even Malone coming off the bench getting a little action from beyond the arc as well. And I agree. We have not seen that be an aspect of Santa Ana's game much, and for the Voodoo, they've let it trickle in at times. And that's just one way to, shut down your opponent, is get those big baskets, let them build up a lead due to it. It's just neither team has been super efficient doing it, but what they have been efficient with is these second chance opportunities, as Sterling
dunks it down. It's just been so key to them.
Yeah, I mean, it's been both Sterling and River, and they've just been a menace down the post. As Aditya answering back with a drive to the basket, pulling up for the jumper. Defense not able to get around him, and he has been a key aspect. I mean, obviously the game he had some foul trouble. We saw Aquino showing that he can run this offense even with the Civet on the bench, but Addy needs to be firing on all cylinders tonight, I feel like, for them to win.
Well, I think all of their big names do. Just that's been the story of the series. It takes really all of them fully on and Biloxi a little off. That's how they started winning. I still say Biloxi mostly lost Game 5 more than Santa Ana won it. Those missed free throws, those missed shot opportunities.
You're not wrong. I mean, they had a number of opportunities that would have been the difference in the end. They would have been ahead. And, I mean, you have to give it to the Spectrums, though. They still somehow found magic and the will to continue, even in the overtime. And we do see the Voodoo taking a small lead here. Both teams, no drought this time to start. I mean, that was the other factor. The 8-0 start, whatever, was not how I expected the game to turn around. I thought this Voodoo had already won the championship. My steak dinner, I could already taste it. But the Spectrums would not back down quietly.
No.
Lowenthal fading away, and we do see the Voodoo starting to pull away a little bit in terms of points here, up by 5, but still very early in the first quarter.
Yeah, their accuracy is certainly showing right now.
Tyrese, he has been steady for the Spectres, but there we go, a turnover. Kim, active wings down low in the post, and he has a fast break. No one can catch him as he just goes for the finger roll, laying it up and in.
We see that Voodoo's now, past the Wayland threshold, so we might see a change in score here rather soon.
Yeah.
I hate that you've padded into that, but I'm glad it only applies to one team in the league. I don't know if I could deal with you every time the game is a 5-point or more saying, and here comes the Wayland factor.
Well, first of all, it's the Wayland threshold. And secondly, I'm an analyst. This is what they pay me to do.
Hello, Spectrum's trying to see if they can prove you right. As Aditya driving past Sterling. Oh, but Sterling.
Oh, big block.
The polecat just leaned over the Civet and blocked him. And on the other end, it's River matched up against the Leopard, and she is able to defend the fast break opportunity. And Seba, I want to see him step up. Mr. Triple-double last game. Assist to the Bear, who dunks it down. And
Fighting and clawing their way back to try and take that lead away from Biloxi.
Yeah, and I like that pass there. We saw a number of missed alley-oop attempts from the Spectrums, intercepted by Kiara, who's going to end up in the Black Bears' paws. He's going to pull up from beyond the arc. No good. I was saying the pass down low in Sterling. I'm just, okay, thank you for not dunking. I don't think I could have pulled my voice back in time from that. Alley-oop attempts have been a struggle for both teams, so to see them pass low in the post and let the player actually do the work and dunk it, it's a more accurate play than trying to go for the fancy alley-oop.
Well, and I don't think any of the players are looking to be fancy at this point. They all of them just want to win, and maybe in game 1 you're going to see some showboating. By game 6, everyone's just like, okay, put the ball in the basket.
Stolen by Aditya. The battle for the ball comes out on top.
He almost lost it there again.
He did. It's going to be Tyrese. He does get fouled by Kim on the way up, and at least Kim knocked the ball away, because I'm pretty sure the Otter would have just dunked the ball over him if had he not. Chance to pull it back within 1 here if he makes his second, as I cast my caster's curse. But he's stronger than that, and he makes it. I see if the Voodoo keep this high tempo of play, and they do want to keep it. Vilka driving to the post, but backs off after no good. But he just reset, and he sees River in the post. He gets a paw on it, but not able to crowd. And now it's a fast break opportunity. It's going to be a Ditya from the right sideline. Oh.
Tough shot to make.
In transition, he needs to hit those. It's going to be Vilka. He had an open look, but he has struggled in most of these games. He's had steady games at times, but he has not necessarily been the flashy impact performer for the Voodoo this series.
That's very true. And looking at both teams here, as they're both missing threes, as I said before, 2 points is better than a missed three. So I think both teams need to be a little more judicious in those 3-point shots for this game.
Well, at the same time, I mean, if you're going to be giving these players that open of a look, it's so hard not to take those shots. And I agree, in those kind of fast break opportunities, I would go for the safer two. The 2-on-1 fast break, they can only guard one fur. Just have good core awareness and pass if he's open. If they're guarding you, it's an easy play. If they guard him, it's an easy play.
Exactly.
Down to Elcom. Off the bench has been a very steady factor for the Voodoo. Not necessarily, I don't think he's put up more than 10 points a game, but they can count on him to come in with River and even Sterling on the bench. And he's had to match up against Tyrese a number of times, and obviously the Otter has gotten the best of the Lion more often than not, but he has been there impacting shots. But it's going to be Viking laying it up and in over top of him, and we do see the Spectrums ahead here.
I think
I'm hesitant to even.
Keno.
Yeah, I'm hesitant to even talk about the points. I mean, it's just way too early in the game. What does it matter? What are points?
Points are what Sterling is going to try and add to here as he gets fouled by Therese. That was a close call. Good block in the end, but they saying he bumped into him with his web paw on the jump up, and Sterling does make both. Tie game. Better offensive showing tonight for both teams in this first quarter. Last game we had both teams absolutely enter droughts that brought the game to a halt for quite a while.
Yeah, 2-3 minutes at a time.
And Keno, the Ram, elevating, and not even Sterling is able to get over there in time to help defend the post. Malone. Even if Carter's in his point guard, they let the Rue dictate the plays. He's going to have the last possession here as he takes the three, really trying to stretch his range as nothing developed that play. Aditya against the Squirrel. This is over to Gold. Quiet game last night, or I should say the other night from the Weasel. Want to see him step it up like he did earlier in the series. Is Tyrese laying it up and in?
Yeah, I think, I did mention starters earlier when we were talking, but, kind of watching the game as it's unfolding, I think actually the key is going to be the bench players, how they can tip the favor for their own teams.
What was this about changing bets? I didn't think you were allowed to do that, Christopher.
Oh, it's not a bet. I was talking about strategies.
Oh, I see.
Still think I still got Santa Ana in 7.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, instead of I was focusing on the starters earlier. I'm saying actually now that the bench players are probably going to be more integral to getting the win for either team.
Well, if that's the case, I have to continue leaning on the Voodoo. I feel like with Malone coming off the bench, he has been a factor. Obviously, last game, I'd argue he's the one who kept them in it and brought them back from the brink of they ended up losing the game, yes, but he got them to overtime, I feel like, as we see a jump ball situation. goes the Voodoo way. Carter, wide open off the big screen,
wow.
but blocked. Tyree still on the floor. Big web paw in the squirrel's face. No good. But on the other end, oh, they're going to say Evans stepped on the line as he tried to corral that block, and it's going to stick down here with the Spectrums in possession. Good defense coming out from both teams. We saw that last game. Both of them picking it up on the defensive side with the blocks, but still high-scoring affairs. Malone, there we go. He comes inside the three-point line, like you were saying, Christopher. Higher percentage shot. Defense has to defend the goal. They can't come out and face him one-on-one because they know they're going to get cut out from behind. And another block from Sterling. Ooh, and just like that, the fast break opportunities have gone the way of the Voodoo. I'm surprised if San Ann doesn't call timeout soon.
They may just let the quarter play out.
Well, if they do that, according to last game, this might be a 10-point deficit then based on how the Voodoo are playing right now. I'd like to assume they don't take a shot here, but Elcom in transition doesn't care about getting the last shot of the game. He wants guaranteed points on the board.
Not an unreasonable strategy at this point.
No, they're going to let the Spectrums have the final possession. It's going to be London. Fighting to the basket, no good. Elcom, quick pass up to Evans. Evans, half-court heave. No good as the quarter comes to a close. The Voodoo have a lead, 27-23 here.
Well, we've seen leads larger than that just completely obliterated in moments. So,
Yeah.
I think both teams are not feeling particularly comfortable with that small of a gap.
No, but it goes back into what I said to start the game. I wanted to see how the Voodoo's mentality was coming in, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from them. They're very active on defense. They have not been giving away silly fouls. And as I say that, Elcom does a very far fadeaway outside his range.
Yeah, for the most part, we've seen some very clean play from both teams. It seems like they've both gotten a little much-needed R&R between now and last game.
Gold, no good on the fadeaway, answer back. We see both teams going with their full bench rotation now. Ekholm trying to battle against Carroll, but not getting anywhere, so he dishes back to Malone, and he does not have a lot of time to work with here. It shows. He just puts up a shot with the clock winding down. And Aquino will hit that shot, though, from that range. The rookie going against the veteran.
I think his is going to be one of the stories from this finals. Just, he has been very solid for the Spectrums.
I'm pretty sure Aquino wasn't even in preschool yet when Malone made it into the league. Think about that. It's Gold. No good off the glass.
I mean, to be fair, most of the league was in grade school when that happened.
I mean, that's... yes, I mean, I was still in high school when he came into the league. Both teams now struggling on offense, and Carter's going to look to get it going. But even with the fast break opportunity, he felt the defense and overpowered the layup. Both teams absolutely struggling now as the second chance opportunity gets stripped. Carter answers, finally putting the first bucket up for the Voodoo. That was a 2-minute and about 10-second drought for the Voodoo. But a strip already from the Squirrel. A chance to get a second one. He's going to elevate this time. If the layup was too powerful, he'll just do it with his legs and elevate for the dunk.
I mean, you really got to look for those opportunities, especially with teams of this caliber. on the court.
I mean, we see an answer back right away from Lagerstrom. We do see both teams want to make some substitutions when they can. It's just a little cold start to this second quarter after a great first quarter in terms of production from both teams. I don't think we really had more than a minute cold streak between the two of them.
No, it was an active first quarter.
Carter just forced to take a high three over Viking, no good. A chance for the Spectrums and Gold. He's going to have a lane to the basket in the defense. Able to impact it there, and you would have expected a little contact called there, but no whistle sounds. Carter
Ref was
blocked.
picking his nose over there.
Look, do not get fined, please. The FSPN will not pay for you to criticize the refs. I think it's like, what, a $5,000 fine?
I can't afford that. They don't pay me enough for that.
Why don't you use your analytics to determine how many cups of ramen you're going to have to buy to afford that fine?
I'm already living off of ramen.
And I mean, you're going to have to go to the 45-cent ramen at this rate.
I know.
Both teams answering tit for tat. Viking trying to get the pump fake. You see Elcom coming over, and there we go. The offensive 3-second violation will be called as he got a little too cute in the post, trying to go for those pump fakes, and he will get called there. And actually, they're not even no substitutions off that dead ball. Interesting. They're going to wait for the next one. Carter versus London in the post. Squirrel backing down over to the Rue at the top of the arc. And again, shot clock not his friend. He's just going to take a long shot. But this time, the clutch factor comes in as he makes the bucket. Malone, 5 points total, not necessarily, or 4 points total, not necessarily being a huge factor tonight so far. But we'll see if he gets involved more in this game as Elcom just takes it himself end to end. The Lion, no one catching up to him to really impact the shot there. Where was the defense? I mean, I'm pretty sure, Christopher, you could have outran the Lion.
Very possibly.
I mean, no offense to the Lion. He is a big guy, so trying to... Once he gets going, he's a train, but maybe that's what they were afraid of, was getting in way of the freight train. As he will foul on the other end, sending Viking to the line 4-2, but we've seen the Voodoo build a bit of a lead here. Viking a chance to get it back to double two-possession game if he makes the second one. And good. Both teams having no difficulties making their free throws tonight. Maybe that was a factor at practice, Donovan, after game 5.
I'm sure it was in Biloxi.
You know, make 100 free throws before you're allowed to leave in a row. Vilka still struggling for me on the arc.
I'm not even sure the coaches would have had to do that. I can't imagine how every one of those players was feeling about the one missed point that brought them to overtime.
I mean, the difference between winning the game and not. I mean, obviously, how Santa Ana would have played those final minutes had the score been different, we don't know. But that's something you have to think. You just can't help thinking about. You know, I missed that free throw at this point, or we missed 3 free throws, but it's going to be Lowenthal. He got us going last game with Beyond the Arc for the Voodoo, and he's getting it started early here in the second quarter with a 3.
Stretching that lead out.
Yeah, I mean, that is the benefit of Beyond the Arc, is when you nail it, it can just be an absolute mood killer for the other team, but Viking doesn't care. Going to lay it in off the glass. Kim. Giving over to River. He's going to give a screen for Vilka, but I think it's just to get him set up for the next part of this play. But I would not go to him at this point. He's been a little too cold. Maybe let him have some free transition points, but it's going to be River to finish off the play in the post one-on-one, laying it off the glass. Well, Christopher, if the game had to end, the series had to end tonight, who from Voodoo would you have as your finals MVP?
Well, looking at kind of the series as a whole, there's a part of me that really wants to say Ryan Malone, just because it would be a great way to
Bookend his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have to imagine that I would love, as much as I would love to see Malone come back next year. If they win a ring, I'm almost positive that he's gonna be like, yeah, that's it, I'm done. But to get MVP on top of that, that'd be the icing on the cake. But more realistically, I think we're looking at Vilkasitis as sort of the go-to person throughout all of these games here on Biloxi's roster, not just the last couple of games.
I would definitely lean towards the post with River and Sterling both stepping up, especially on the offensive glass end. I mean, those second chance points, they're a little bit free once you get that offensive board, but I feel like both of them have just been such a factor in this series, impacting the game in the post, and a chance here for the Voodoo to get a double-digit lead. How about, obviously, Christopher, you think this is going to go 7, so at that point, it doesn't even matter if for the Voodoo, who's the best performer. But for you, Donovan, who do you have your eye on from the Voodoo side?
I'm with you on that one. It's a tough call for me between River and Bensing. Probably I'd lean a little bit towards River, just for consistently solid performance. And they have made so much of their games in the post this series.
Yeah, even though this game we still have an opportunity to have one of the players step up. Kim, we haven't really mentioned much of him, but he has been a factor with the steals, leading the way in points, I think, in one game for them. But it's more been a little bit inconsistent back and forth in the series. And if he had a big game tonight, I could definitely see him coming out on top. And Lowenthal, his best performances have been in the games they've lost, unfortunately. He hasn't been the it factor in their wins. I don't know how I can factor that in unless he has a massive game tonight and wins.
Well, you look at the if you kind of look at the overall stats, Lowenthal has definitely been a force to be reckoned with on the court. But as you say, unfortunately, he's really stepped it up where the Voodoo, on nights where the rest of the Voodoo were falling short, and it makes you wonder, is it because everyone else was kind of falling behind that he kind of shone, or was it him doing his best to try to hold a team together?
Honestly, had they won off that overtime game where he made that bucket to send them to overtime, his name would have been in the running, I think. We'll have to see how he does tonight. Maybe another overtime, buzzer beater shot will cement him in that discussion. As the Spectrums are trying to do something here, but they've found themselves down by 11, but that strip is no good. And Kim, the Bird's going to take flight and dunk it down, pushing us up by 13. And
yeah, I think you can be a little showy when you're up by 11.
Well, not just that, but there's only a minute and some change left in this half. And remember, Santa Ana, I think they had, 23 points to start this half, quarter, and they've only managed to put up 14.
Well, see, this is what happens when you question the Whalen principle. And now look, Biloxi's up by 13.
I thought it was the Whalen threshold.
It's the Whalen factor. I think you keep changing it.
Well, whatever it
I'm
is,
just saying that whenever you don't believe, it falls apart.
I think you need to go behind the scenes and fix your theorem, factor, hypothesis. As thankfully Aditya will finally break that cold spell there. But still, a 13-point deficit. This is not how I think the Spectrums wanted to end the first half. And the fans, they're not going to be quiet. They're going to try and keep their team in it. They can't afford to just give up.
But
not after paying this much money for these tickets.
well, and everybody was here, I think, to see the Santa Ana miracle tonight. Start pulling off.
Well, the only good news is they have 24 minutes to make up this ground, and we have seen them come back from big deficits before. It's just we haven't seen them necessarily close out those games. They face those kind of deficits. And we'll dive into the first half stats shortly, but I feel like for the Spectrums, it's been you talked about the bench, and I'm sure we'll see the bench for the Voodoo have been more of the it factor tonight. And we'll start with the Spectrums, though. And I mean, Viking has stepped off the bench, and it looks like they are fairly distributed between their starters, with Tyrese, Jinsung, and Addy all being around that 6, 7, 8 point mark. But they've been struggling. Addy shooting only 33% from the field.
They're all playing solid, but nobody's really standing out like they have in previous games.
Well, even Seba is having a very slow start today.
Well, especially him after the last game.
Yeah. You know, he's been kind of clutch to keeping Santa Ana together, and he's only put up 2 points in this first half.
But he is shooting 100% from the field. If only he can translate that to more shot attempts.
And then my boy JC Gold not even showing up for the first half.
Showing up a bagel 0 for 5. And it has been Lowenthal stepping it up for the Voodoo. 11 total points here. Perfect from the field with that three-pointer. Hopefully he isn't the jinx, and as the best games he's had, again, have been when the Voodoo have lost in the end. And he's
Is having a rough night after that discussion about Series MVP. This is not his game.
Yeah, he's been more steady. I'd like to see him pick it up in the second half, but at the same time, when you're up by this much, you don't have to get fancy. Don't necessarily keep giving him those three-pointer attempts. Let him find his range and take those higher percentage shots and ease him into the game. I think that's what they're going to do here immediately, but the Leopard, too good defense. And it'll be the Spectrums to answer first after the half starts. What adjustments, Christopher, do you think the Spectrums need to make here to close this deficit?
You know, I think they need to. I think they really need to start making shots closer to the post. You know, they're taking a lot of long twos still, or at least through the first half. You know, they've lost that indecisiveness that was sort of their trademark for the first earlier games, but now they've sort of replaced it with this. Okay, we're gonna shoot long twos and short threes, and the threes aren't working, and the twos are getting blocked. So I really feel, you know, get as close to the basket before you make those shots, because you're gonna have people like Sterling, you're gonna have people like Ekholm who are gonna block those shots even before they get anywhere.
Yeah, and it has been the defense in the post that has maybe kind of scared them away from attacking down there. Is the Voodoo struggling here? We saw Addy actually not necessarily block, but he impacted the shot against River. And offensive pickup from Seba, second chance bucket, and that's what I would like to see from the Toucan. I want to see a little bit more offensive crashing of the basket. I know they've struggled to stop the Voodoo in transition. If they just need to send Tyrese back earlier, that's fine. Let Seba fight for those offensive boards.
Well, and that's why I'm suggesting that they shoot close to the post, is because you have these situations where you can't get the offensive rebounds if all of your players are 10 feet away from the post. If you bring the play in closer to the basket, then you've got more players who can go and grab those runaway shots.
Unless they pass out to Lowenthal, who nails the long two.
Well, I mean, Biloxi has not been struggling with second chance opportunities in any game, honestly. So they need to make no adjustments in that regard. I think if you're up by 13 at this point, you just need to play smart. They don't need to make any changes. Just don't give away silly chances. And Vilka left absolutely open, and even though he's been cold tonight, he finally gets one to drain from beyond the arc. And that
I was just about to criticize him for that, but if it goes in, it goes in.
Yeah. Jin-Sung will answer back immediately, and he has been putting up a performance tonight. Just needs to carry more weight, I guess. And I can't say what else he can do. He's putting up the points. He's shooting efficiently. There we go, Tyrese with the block against Kim, and now it's going to be Jin-Sung bringing it up the court. I see Seba open. He's going to take a three, and Seba just not able to crowd. The rebound's going to go to River. I don't necessarily hate taking a three there because he saw Seba heading to the post. The ball just didn't bounce the right way for the Toucan to get the second chance opportunity. And it'll be Kim. He's feeling it after Lowenthal, and now him and Vilka have put up threes from beyond the arc.
When you can afford to shoot threes now, especially with that, what is it, 17-point lead?
Yeah, bit of a margin.
You talked about only one team getting a miracle, or you only get one as a team. I think the Spectrums need a miracle here right now.
Well, Voodoo already used up theirs, so I believe that the Spectrum can come back from behind at this point still.
Down by 17. Yeah. Oh, Malone, are you getting involved?
Oh.
And he is. Would you like to return that miracle, please?
I mean,
I think the miracle is Malone rolling back the years this series. The Voodoo got two somehow miracles, I believe.
I mean, let's be honest. The miracle is that Malone is still on the court.
Oh, goodness. Malone, he's going to drive to the paint. And a little too much power. He was a little more open than I think even he expected. But now the Spectrums, they need to do something. And they're going to Seba, letting him work it in the post, using the one flap to his advantage. And back within 16, but that deficit, they need to absolutely call it. Turnovers is one way they can get back in this. Tyrese able to strip the ball, but it's not going to be corralled. It'll go out of bounds, and it will stay with the Voodoo here. They have...
Being reminded by my personal assistant that I should mention here that I love Ryan Malone, and that he is one of my favorite players, and that, all jokes about his age are meant in jest, and definitely not how I truly feel about the Rue.
Look, the Rue scares me too, trust me. This is why we are up here in the booth and he is down there on the court. As Tyrese actually dunked it down, and he is getting the crowd back involved. And that is the one thing working in the Spectrum's favor, is they have time. Time is something that they still have plenty of. It's just they can't afford to step off the gas at all. As Sterling blocks the ball, and the battle for the missed shot is going the Voodoo's way. Lowenthal missing the opportunity there. Little under 18 minutes left to go. Keno. He's been key coming off the bench for the Spectrums. Can he get it done against Malone? Step back jumper. Not good enough, though. If I'm the Spectrums, my goal is to get this back under 10 points by the end of this quarter.
Well, they're going to have to. I mean, at this point, you have to split up that deficit.
I'd love to. I mean, if I was a Spectrum player, getting it down to 9 going into the fourth quarter would definitely feel good. Down by 20, but managing to pull back 11. It's not an insurmountable lead, but if it stays this margin, I just struggle to see them able to come back, because every minute that they don't close the gap, it just the door you feel is closing ever so slightly.
But still, this series, I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, well, Malone has been very consistent from the free throw line. Good for the first. I mean, stranger things have happened, but honestly, Biloxi, this is your make it or break it. If you give up a 20-point lead and the Spectrums win, I am going to have to switch sides, because there is no way mentally you can handle losing in overtime and then losing a 20-point lead. As Aditya elevates for the dunk and the foul and one opportunity. Good.
Yeah, that would absolutely be a morale crusher.
I mean, what do you say in the locker room after that? Good game? Not really. So they've gone past the Wayland threshold and have entered the nebula, where either they fall into a black hole or they suck the Spectrums into the black hole. Either way, someone is not going to enjoy the end of this game tonight.
Absolutely.
Step back is good. 13 points here. Shooting percentage is a little bit lower than last game, below the 50% mark. So both teams have had some success, but some struggles as well. Kim in the post, dishing back out to Evans. Shot clock starting to become a problem. Great Dane over to Malone. He hit a 3 from there earlier, but not able to get the one with the shot clock against him. And Viking wide open in the post. That's not how you hold a lead, Voodoo. You have to defend in transition.
We are seeing a lot from the Spectrum's defense. Voodoo's really, really struggling to put points up.
Yeah, they've suddenly hit a dry spell, and I could see some substitutions looking to come in. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to bring out, Malone going for 3 again. This time not good. He had a wide open look thanks to that screen. Just not able to convert it. He hit that one earlier, and I mean, Malone's not one to shy away from an open look. It's just a question of, are you going to get, is it going to cost you, or is it going to be a freebie missed shot? Kim, one-on-one. Down to Elcom, who's in transition. The 2-on-1 fast break works out for the Lion. Spectrums have worked the lead down a bit. Still.
A lot to make up.
Yeah, got work still to do. 3 minutes left, a little under 3 minutes left in this quarter. They're not really getting much of a play decision up here, and it's going to come to Addy. The ball not willing to fall, rattles out, and quick pass to Malone, who's going to elevate. He can't get it done from beyond the arc right now, so he takes it to the paint and lays it up and in.
But that's what you want to see. If you recognize what you're doing, it's not working, change up the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, he is an absolute menace in the post, as the fadeaway from Tyrese works out. Hear the crowd chanting defense. They do need a stop here, and they get one. Kim in the paint, not able to convert. They're going to let the Otter bringing the ball up the court. Addy had a wide open look from beyond the arc, but they've just haven't hit well from beyond there, so I'm not surprised he withheld and instead went for the easier matchup against Tyrese versus Kim, and Tyrese just hook shots it in. And And it's been working here. The Spectrums, the crowd's getting back into it. They're back within a few points. They have a chance to get it back to single digits here if they can just make this basket. And it's going to be Adia stepping into the paint, and it is good. Getting around Kim. There we have it. A 20-point lead back down to single digits before this quarter has even ended.
Well, and we've said before, you can't count either of these teams out for any amount of lead. Even as you get close to 20 points, you can see that the other team is willing to fight back for it.
Well, one thing I do want to count them out on is the fact that neither of them have used a timeout yet. The Spectrums down by 20. No need to call timeout. The Voodoo take a 20-point lead down to 9. Don't call a timeout. It's fine.
I think we are in for a very long fourth quarter.
Well, timeouts do disappear as the quarter begins. They don't allow them to keep all their timeouts. That would be a very problematic situation. But the Spectrums will not have the last possession. It will, in fact, be the Voodoo, and they have an opportunity to push it back to double digits. Just get that little factor in their favor, and Malone not able to hit the three. That would have been absolutely devastating if he had.
Cannot commit. If he had made that shot, I would have called it Malone Finals MV3.
MV3.
Finals MV3. Wow.
I think he has only won 3 Finals MVP, so it'd be MV4.
Yeah.
And both teams, I expect them to bring their starters out not long. They need to have every best opportunity to win this game. Spectrum's needing to claw their way back in Ronan. London, he hasn't been consistent this series, but he hits the shot there when needed. Vilka hit that 3 earlier, and you can see the defense is playing really far off of him. They still are not respecting him. They're respecting Kim, though, with the double team instantly. Shock, not his range at all. Bad play design. There it is. 3 minutes and 20 seconds without a point from the Voodoo. And it's going to be Carroll dunking it down. 5 points. Voodoo have to call timeout. They just won't. They refuse to. They're going to let their players go to the game plan. They're not making any real big adjustments here tonight. Kim, moving 3, no good. Didn't set up fully before taking the shot. And you hear it, the crowd. They are back in this game. No good from Ronan there. Unable to bring it back within a single basket. And it has been the defense for the Spectrums here that have helped them. And Tyrese isn't even on the floor, which is the amazing fact right now. We can see both teams wanting to bring their players in. And again, timeout. It's an okay thing to do. Spectrums, it makes sense why they haven't yet. They are in the groove. The momentum is in their favor. They have no reason to alter the current pace of this game. London not able to make the 3, though. River.
There's a little bit of a timeout chicken going on.
Well, River finally breaking that cold spell. And look at the difference in field goal percentage. 8 for 26 in this second half. Despite building that massive lead, they built it early and just have struggled since. Ball stripped by Cantor. An opportunity striking for the Voodoo. Second chance bucket, no good from Vilka. And I said ice cold from Vilka tonight. Yes, he hit that 3, but 1 for 8 now.
This has not been his series.
I mean,
Really,
he had
either shooting guard.
Well, both had at least one good game in this series. It's just they have not been consistent like the post and there. The Spectrums finally blink. They know that the fact that the Voodoo have Kim on the floor right now, while they don't even have Aditya out there, they need to bring their starters out. They are not matchup-wise in the favorable advantage. They rode that momentum as long as they could, and it's starting to stall out. But 7 points, 8 minutes, 38 seconds left. We saw the Voodoo close that kind of gap in only 90 seconds. So what can the Spectrums do here with 8 minutes and change?
Anything. I mean, that's been the story of the series.
Do you think they continue this post play, or do they start trying to sneak in some threes? And actually, they don't even want to bring Addy on the court. They want to get Tyrese back out there. Jinsung not fading away this time, matching up against Lowenthal, and Lowenthal taking it himself. He has been the player of the game so far for me. I mean, obviously, you see right there, 15 points. Putting up a little under a quarter of the point, or a little under, a fifth for the Voodoo tonight. Kiara, no good off the iron. Also struggling, as you said, both shooting guards not getting it done. And Lowenthal, he wants to do it himself. He got his own miss, but second chance opportunity, no good. And Tyrese, fouled by the Bird, maybe oversold that contact just a little bit to get that foul called. I'm fairly certain that the Bird did not make the otter fly like that to the side. And actually, they're letting Addy get every minute of rest. That's an interesting play decision from the Voodoo, the Spectrums here tonight. Lowenthal, he's been having some struggles recently, fading away, no good.
I think they realized they shouldn't give him free shots from that corner.
No, they can't afford it, and there we go. The alley-oop to Seba. The crowd off their seats now. Back within 4. And Vilka, when he's left that open in the post, he has to make that shot.
I would have laughed if it just bricked.
That's not nice. You can't laugh at the Wolf. He's going to get Malone after you.
Oh no, I'm making so many enemies on Biloxi this evening.
I mean, you're making fun of the refs. You're making fun of the players. You want to make fun of the security guards too? They're going to be the ones escorting us out of this building after tonight.
No, they're the ones I've paid off to make sure that we get home safe.
Okay, good.
That's why you can't afford any fines for.
This is why he has to eat ramen, because he makes so many enemies that he can only afford that, and the fact he's worried about poison.
I have a confession that I am secretly a billionaire.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I.
No good from Biloxi there is the Spectrums. They love to just close it here, and Seba open to Tyrese. Tyrese dunks it down, and even with the contact, we'll send to the line for an and one. And yes, they have to bring Sterling back. No good. That missed free throw. That better not come back to haunt them in Vilka. He has been 100% from, I think, a foot out. So, continue with that range tonight, and he will be good.
Now we see Aditya back.
Yeah, within 4, they're here tonight. Kiara, if Vilka's going to start doing it from that range, she's just going to answer back with one of her own. Tit for tat within 2. Watch Kim on the side. He's breaking away after a double screen. He gets to the paint. Off the back iron, though. A chance that I did not think we'd see tonight for the Spectrums. An opportunity to tie it up. And wide open, Jinsung gets the shot. And as you hear the crowd, they are electric right now because they have seen possibly the Santa Ana Miracle 20 points down in the third quarter. We are tied here with 4 minutes and 36 seconds left to go.
I told you, every team gets one.
Question is, what do they do with it now?
Can they complete the miracle is the question. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, Biloxi got its miracle and couldn't finish it.
Well, you know, the miracle gets you to halfway. You just got to put blood, sweat, and tears into the rest.
and fouled from behind. And here we go, Spectrum fans, an opportunity to see your team take the lead here. As I talk it up, Jinsung, unfortunately, another free throw miss. And a second.
Oh.
Check the voodoo bench for a voodoo doll, please. I think someone just stabbed the bear and made him miss that opportunity.
Well, we were saying all series long that the points at the charity stripe are what make or break a game. We saw that with the voodoo the other night, where if the Spectrums lose by 2 tonight, that bear is going to be feeling really bad about himself.
Well, even the Otter missing that and one opportunity earlier, the Spectrums have definitely had less success from the free throw line tonight, and the Voodoo are finally starting to get the gears turning again on this offense. Yes, they've let the lead slip, but they are answering back at the strip. Fight for the ball, and Aditya will be called for the backcourt violation. He lost possession. Actually, didn't really lose possession. He just lost the ball.
A lot of unhappy fans here.
Of course not. And they need that miss there to keep them in it. It's a 2-on-2 play. Fast break to Seba. Seba, what can you do in the post? That's exactly what he could do.
Put it in. Yeah.
I was going to say.
Put the ball in the basket.
Double teamed there. He's still laying it up and in over the defense. And he was, as you pointed out, very quiet in the first half. Only 2 points, and he has picked it up here in the second. Saving his energy for where it matters, apparently. Kiara. Back to Tyrese. He has a great matchup against Kim. Misses the shot, and Seba. Second chance opportunity here now. Kiara's going to call for the screen. From beyond the arc. No good. Big opportunity lost there to pull ahead. She'll try and get on D, and Sterling corrals the ball. Not good, though, as the Bear pulls down the board. Seba. Back to Aditya. They want to slow it down. 2 minutes left to go. Game tied here. The fancy dribbling gets the Civet open in the paint, but just not able to convert. Both teams stalling again. And Lowenthal will be fouled.
What are the odds of another overtime game tonight?
Getting higher.
Yes, with every passing minute. And another missed free throw, this time from the Griffin. Not Bird. Bird. Hartbird. Tyrese, that long fadeaway. He's just feeling a little desperate now as the Spectrums. Every second that ticks by in Vilka, he is coming in clutch here in these quick drives to the basket, laying it up and in with the finger roll. The Eurasian Wolf putting them up by 3 here with less than 90 seconds left to go. Addy, tough 3, not able to convert it, and this is where you might see a timeout. Kim, his paws were inside the line, but that 2 puts them up by 5.
Just a minute left.
We saw, do they have a second miracle in the bag? Have they not used all their miracle up yet? Seba doesn't think so as he dunks it down from the assist by Addy. They need to stop here. They can't afford to let them get a bucket. Lowenthal 3. No good. Quick play in transition would be ideal, but they cannot afford a miss here. Aditya in the paint. Sterling blocked. Battle for the rebound. It stays with the Santa Ana Spectrums. I'm losing my voice in this key moment. And there. Oh, they missed the opportunity, and they have to foul. No good on the free throw from Vilka. He can hit it from 1 foot out, but he can't hit the free throw. He does make the second, though, in the Spectrums. They are absolutely forced here. Take timeout with less than 20 seconds left to go, down by 4.
Have they exhausted that miracle, or do they have something left?
No, I said the miracle only gets you halfway. Blood, sweat, and tears brings you the rest of the way. And in 19 seconds on the board, you can absolutely put 2 plays on the scoreboard.
We saw it last game. I mean,
yeah. One more timeout.
Well, it's the basket, and then the inbound steal is what we need to see happen, or a basket, preferably I'd say a 3, and then foul immediately on the inbound. And if you foul immediately on the inbound, best case the opponent misses a free throw, and you have an opportunity to win. If they make both free throws, you still have an opportunity to tie and send us to overtime. And I'm keeping an eye on Kiara and Aditya. I feel like they have to do a 3 here. But no, they're going to let the Otter bully his way to the post. They're going to have to steal this inbound. Pump fake, no good. Over to Vilka. Vilka, he just missed a free throw, though, so not the end of the world if he were to repeat that situation. Again, he needs to miss 1 for the Spectrums to stay in this.
Either that, or we just start this all over again.
Christopher's situation, his goal was on the line. The Spectrums call timeout, but down by 4. Again, like you said, the situation can repeat itself. Get a quick basket, steal the inbound, but now they have no timeouts left, so they are going to struggle to get it up the court if they can't get a steal. Kiara, she pulls up for 3, and good! She has struggled tonight from there, but she hits it in the most important moment. And Aditya will foul, but here's the factor. They are within 1 point, 2 points. Okay, if he makes this third one, they still have a chance to tie it. And he misses! Are we heading to OT? Aditya, 4. He needs to take a shot. He's going to go for the win. And no good.
Oh, way short.
Oh, he was pushed too far out. And with that, we have ourselves the 2020-21 FBA champions, the Biloxi Voodoo.
Congratulations.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, Christopher, you don't get 7 in this series, but Aditya, he wanted that game winner there, and just the defense was too tight on him. They had, as you saw, they had, I think, Vilka guarding him on the last shot. Not who he wanted matched up against. The height was not in his favor at all. And that would have been an unbelievable finish had he made that shot. I mean, talk about soul-crushing for the Voodoo had they lost it like that. But despite giving up a 20-point lead, it comes down to the matter of it was only a single basket that separated them from victory. And as you said, Donovan, those 2 free throws might come back to haunt the players on the Spectrum's team.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into the Voodoo stat line. As we saw, Derek Kim, one of the potential players of the game. He had a good night tonight, but I still have to feel like River was such an impact that he might have taken away the Finals MVP, even though Lowenthal, you know, didn't jinx them with his performance tonight. He had a strong showing. As you see there, Vilcasitis, the fact that he put up 16 after the start he had is very impressive.
It really is.
He is the one who actually, I think, saved the Voodoo tonight in the sense of uh, when everyone else fell apart, he was able to collect himself and keep the engine turning long enough for everyone to restart. And that's three players that actually put up 16 points tonight: Kim, Vilka, and Lowenthal.
Well, and you have, with such a close game, every single one of those baskets counted towards this win.
Yeah, and God, I feel bad that we had to see the series end like it did. We could have gone 7. I think every game would have been close. Obviously, game 1 I think was the one that had the most difference in score, but everything after that has been such a close affair. I'm sad to see the series come to an end. I'm sad to see the season come to an end, but it has, and now we have to look forward to the next season, which won't be that far off, honestly.
No, it'll be
it's
here
just
before you know it.
right around the corner.
Oh, any thoughts tonight of the series, how it ended? I didn't get my dinner, unfortunately. I said the Voodoo would be down by 40, not the. If only I'd said the Spectrums would have been down and brought it back, I could have won that steak dinner. But
I didn't get my ice cream either, so it's fair. We're all going to McDonald's after this.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this has been just an incredibly intense series from game 1 all the way to game 6. Just seeing all of these players just playing their hearts out. You have to feel for Santa Ana, but congratulations to the Voodoo for just such an impressive performance this whole series.
yeah, I mean, you have to give a clap for both teams here in this series. They definitely made it very exciting, and both teams showed why they deserve to be here. It really was a coin flip in a number of these
Absolutely.
games, and it could have been it could have gone the other way very easily
Oh,
here.
it could have.
Um, you definitely have to keep an eye on the Spectrums. We talked about how young they are, and now that these rookies have this experience in the postseason, you have to wonder how much they're going to mature going into second year. Do they will the Spectrums, with a year under their belt, be able to make another run just like this and make the difference? We saw it with the Taproots. They had a very young lineup and they did well their first year, but it was the second year that really everything clicked and came together. You have to keep in mind that for the Spectrums, they're a very young team. See if they have the opportunity to do the same.
That'll be the story of free agency. We'll get there eventually.
Well, free agency, we're going to have to talk about the Voodoo and see how that shakes out for them. They have a number of players, Vilcasitis and Sterling, heading into free agency. You have to wonder, now that they've won a ring, does the Voodoo experiment end? And do these players go off and, pursue those high-value contracts that they've shown that some teams, maybe struggling, are willing to pay out to try and bring some of the success that the Voodoo have found here to their team?
Absolutely, and that's always the question after a big finals win like this. You've just found the right combination, but that will never last. And so, how do you, as the Voodoo, how do you continue to hold on to that winning combination for a repeat performance next year? Or do you leverage that and hope to bring in a little bit of new blood to kind of keep that momentum going?
I mean, it's very tough. We see a number of championships teams basically implode after their run due to that fact of players heading to free agency, leaving the team, veterans. They're not getting any younger. Every year is another this playoff series, I'm sure there are players that are walking and wounded right now in terms of bumps, aches, and pains, and you have to imagine that that adds up. And especially for a veteran team like the Voodoo, for example, they have, as we mentioned, one of the older lineups, especially in this matchup. They had a far older lineup, so you have to wonder how much of an impact this playoff run had on their longevity going forward. I mean, we talked about Malone retiring. We'd love to see him stick around, but for a player like him who's been around so long, played so many series, he's easily put up another 1 or 2 seasons in terms of total games played just by playing in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
So you have to wonder, like I said, for those players, the Voodoo have always been in the playoffs pretty much since this experiment began. So they've been building up that fatigue or injuries over the years due to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, congratulations to the Biloxi Voodoo. You are our 2020-21 champions. Congrats to the San Diego Spectrums. You won your Western Conference Championship. You'll still have a banner to raise come next year, and we look forward to seeing you next season as well. We look forward to seeing all the rookies that will be coming in this year and have an exciting free agency ahead of us. Any final thoughts before we send it home for the night?
No,
Just
it's been quite a season, but I think I'm out of words.
I mean, I am just so thrilled that you invited us to join you for this series. I love finals time because it really it just has such an energy, and you know I'm already excited for next season because of just how close all of these games were, and I'm gonna walk away with this from the smooth tonight feeling satisfied that we definitely got a show for this series.
We certainly did.
Yep, and I want to thank everyone again. Thank you for tuning in for this series. Thank you for tuning in for the season, and we will see you next year. Stay tuned.